Hey there and welcome to another one of my Rosebud AI Gamemaker tutorials. Today, we're going to be creating your first basic FPS game. Let's get started. First, go to Rosebud AI, then click Create and select a 3D blank for your project. Once your project is open, find the Asset tab above the game preview. Then begin creating some key assets for your game. I will create a hand or arm holding a gun in point of view style. Next, you'll create a silver small rectangle to act as the bullet. Make sure you name your assets so you can remember them, and Rosie will understand much better. After that, you'll create 2 enemy monsters and a zombie. By the way, you can create your own assets and upload them from your computer. Now I will tell Rosie about the assets I've created and my objective to make a first-person shooter. She will then give me options. I will copy and paste the first option, which will add the game overlay and shooting mechanics first. If your code breaks, just press Fix It. If you get to a point where you have to click Reprompt, don't get too frustrated or give up. I had to reprompt this about 6 times before Rosie finally accepted it. Don't let this end your journey early. Just be patient. So as you can see, it worked but not completely. We have to remove the player's ability to fly and remove the left-click control, so the player cannot move the map or go through it when rotating. I will form a command for Rosie to fix this. And that worked, but as we can see here, the player's speed is way too fast. So let's ask Rosie to slow the player down and make the speed more natural. Now we have to create a command for Rosie that will implement the shooting action. Let's see what this baby can do. The shooting mechanic seems to be working except for one thing. The bullets don't look like they're coming out of the player's gun. Let's create a command for Rosie so she can fix the shooting point. Now don't be confused. This did work, but the bullets are not visible enough. So let's ask Rosie to fix that. That seemed to work, but now we have to change the position of the bullets to make them look more like they are actually coming out of the gun itself. Let's see what Rosie can do. And wow, that worked. Look how far we've gotten already. Now that we have a moving player and a gun that can shoot, I think it is time to add enemies to shoot at. Now let's try asking Rosie to implement our enemies into the game. You should be able to read my commands in the video. If not, just turn the video resolution up in YouTube settings. As you can see, we now have our enemies in our game. They are not very smart, but we will fix that. First, let's add an explosion effect to our enemies when they are killed. So Rosie won't break. Let's click Clear Memory to increase production and accuracy. You should do this every time you want Rosie to do something different. Now ask Rosie to add the explosion effect to your enemies when they are killed. Now that that's done, we have a great looking start to your first-person shooter game. The enemies exploding when killed is a beautiful touch. This game is actually funner than I expected so far. And now I will create a new command for Rosie by asking her to give your enemies AI behavior. Rosie responds by suggesting 2 options on how I can implement this, as you can see on my screen. I will tell her I would like a little bit of both, and see what she can cook up for me. With the AI behavior implemented, the enemies now come towards me. But there's an issue. All the enemies are able to fly. Let's ground them and tell Rosie that only the monsters are allowed to fly, but not the zombies. With that done, we now have monsters that fly and zombies that stay grounded. This game is getting better and better. Next, let's ask Rosie to make sure the player spawns in the middle of the map nearby enemies at game start. It's working out great. Now let's create a command for Rosie to add player health and damage. Remember, if your code breaks, just click Fix It. We now have a player health bar, and when the enemies touch the player, it will hurt the player until game over. Let's go to our assets and add an explosion sound effect. You can find free sound effects online. Check the copyright. The plan is for this sound effect to trigger upon enemy death. Click the asset to add its link to Rosie's input and edit the command as you please. I will ask her to add the sound effect upon enemy death. And the sound effect works great. Please note that in the video the sound effect may sound a little delayed, but that is only the video, not the project. Now let's create a wall around the edge of the map by asking Rosie to do so with a command. Once we have our wall, let's test it and make sure it is impassable. And it is clearly not impassable. So let's create a new command by asking Rosie to make the walls impassable. Now that Rosie has updated our game, let's test the wall again. And success! We cannot pass through this wall. Perfect! Let's create a command for Rosie by asking her to create a forest scenery around the map. Come on, Rosie, show us what you got. As you can see, we now have a basic forest placed neatly onto our map, which makes our game look way better. We've gotten so far in so little time. This is a beautiful start. Let's not forget our points and reward system. Let's create a new command for Rosie by asking her to do this for us. Great! We can now see our score on the top right of the screen, and each time an enemy is killed we see how many points we've just earned. Next we should ask Rosie to make sure the enemies don't all form a line when chasing the player. Now that Rosie has updated our game with the new code, you should be able to notice that the enemies are now more spread out and randomized. Finally, let's create a title menu for our game template. We will ask Rosie to implement a start button, an instructions button, and the game name, which will be your first FPS game. Here is the title menu screen, the instructions button, and the famous start button. Congrats! We have now finished our basic FPS shooter 3D game with basic 2D assets. These are my results, and I would love to see yours sometime if you decide to remix this. If you want to play or remix this project, go to the Rosebud website, find the search bar and type in Brain Juice. There you will see all of my published games and templates. I really hope you find this template useful. If interested, I also made another first-person shooter game template called Aliens vs. Zombies. It is now available to play and remix on Rosebud. Lots of people have had fun with this one, and you can too. I'd love to see what you come up with. Before you go, make sure you check out Rosebud's awesome membership plans. I myself have the 10x Dev membership, which gives me unlimited game creating abilities thanks to Rosie. Join our community now, because we will be the next best thing. Join the Discord and tell them Brain Juice sent you. Until next time, like the video and subscribe for more tutorials like this.